So we got Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 7 titled The Whereabouts of the Sun, and in this chapter we got the battle between Boruto versus Mitsuki, where Boruto drops absolute bombshells on the likes of Mitsuki and Shikamaru, the characters who were affected by the omnipotence jutsu, where he does tell these guys that Naruto is safe and is still alive in the story. This chapter took a much faster pace compared to the past couple of chapters, with the battle between Boruto and Mitsuki of course, and with some very important dialogue when it comes to some of the cracks within the omnipotence jutsu, especially towards some of the characters that were affected. So let's just get right into it, man. So with Boruto chapter 7, we see Mitsuki talking about he is the moon, and how Kawaki, who at least in part 1 was Boruto, the sun who illuminated that hope and gave Mitsuki the guidance for his own will. And as Mitsuki is explaining his entire will of who is the sun, he is attacking Boruto in real time, and this is where he tries to attack Boruto right away. Boruto then throws out some shuriken to attack Mitsuki, and Mitsuki then begins to attack Boruto even more with a bunch of his snakes, hitting the ground. And as Boruto is dodging, he does get behind Mitsuki using the flying Raijin jutsu. Boruto then questions Mitsuki on where Kawaki is at, because he wants to have a conversation with him and try to get an understanding between the two brothers. Shikamaru then informs Boruto that Kawaki was knocked out cold by Mitsuki in order to protect him, and at least according to Shikamaru, Mitsuki has gone rogue. Since he has left the village without anybody's permission, specifically from the Hokage, he is now considered a rogue ninja by the technical terms, which is interesting to see. Shows you just how far Mitsuki is willing to go in order to protect his son. And according to Mitsuki, he does say he understands Boruto's power level, and according to his words, it is off the charts. And compared to Kawaki, he is no match for Boruto. This is very interesting considering that Kawaki, he wants to kill Boruto. This is the first character that he wants to kill when it comes to eliminating all of the Otsutsukis, and now that it has been 3 years since he's established that goal, Boruto and Kawaki both have gotten a lot stronger. However, according to a character that has been by Kawaki's side for the past couple of years, it does seem like Boruto is on a whole nother level compared to Kawaki, which is very interesting to note, because at the end of part 1, it does seem like they were about the same power levels. Honestly, you could argue which character was stronger. Boruto was the perfect Otsutsuki at the end of part 1. However, Kawaki had a better use of the karma since he had access to Ishiki's dojutsu. 3 years later, it does seem like there is a massive power difference between Boruto and Kawaki. Obviously with Boruto, he has been chased down by the entire Leaf Village, and of course with Code and his 10 Tails army, with multiple characters trying to go for his head. It's obvious that Boruto had to get a lot stronger in order to stay alive and to stop Kawaki of course. Whereas with Kawaki, he may have gotten a little bit complacent with him living inside the Leaf Village, having it all good, being viewed as the hero of Konoha. He didn't really need to train as much, and of course he had the karma, so with him staying inside the village, he didn't really need to train as hard as Boruto. Whereas with Boruto, on the other hand, he does not use his karma at all. We haven't seen him activate the karma so far in the time skip, and he is just using ninjutsu, jutsu that he has learned on his own, which shows you the different approach when it comes to both characters, especially since we all know Boruto and Kawaki will fight eventually. And with Mitsuki's fixation on protecting Kawaki, he cannot let him get killed by Boruto no matter the cost. And according to Mitsuki, now that Kawaki's out of the equation since he is knocked out and far away from the battle, Mitsuki can go basically all out to fight him. Mitsuki then attacks Boruto right away by using snake clones, and eventually, after dodging a lot of the snake clones, Boruto has enough and destroys all of the snake clones with his sword with ease. I do gotta say, when it comes to Boruto destroying all the snake clones, reading this visually on the manga panels, it was very clean to see. The one thing I gotta say is, when it comes to displaying the power of Boruto, I'm very impressed on how Ikimoto is showing off Boruto. Anyways, following Boruto destroying all of the snake clones, Mitsuki and Boruto have a Dragon Ball Z like beam clash where they both throw lightning style jutsus at each other. Both the jutsus then cancel out, where Boruto then gets the jump by putting a sword at Mitsuki's neck, rendering him unable to fight back and basically holding him hostage. And this is where Mitsuki knows that he is cornered, where he then depowers his Sage Mode and tells Boruto to finish the job and to kill him in the end. Boruto reassures that he is not going to kill him, but instead he does the classic talk no jutsu. He tells Mitsuki that the sun that radiates upon him is not Kawaki, but him. He drops the bombshell that he is Mitsuki's son. The sun that was shining on him that he viewed as Kawaki, that has lost some radiance at some points. As we know with the fixation that Mitsuki has over Boruto, now that it's been toward Kawaki, the feelings that are drawn back to Mitsuki is quite different between Boruto and Kawaki. Boruto obviously views Mitsuki as his friend, however when it comes to Kawaki, as you've seen from some of the dialogue in the past few chapters so far in Two Blue Vortex, Kawaki has basically given Mitsuki the cold shoulder. He has not reciprocated that same feeling back toward him and has kind of treated him like a loser, telling Mitsuki that he's kind of weird for being around him all the time. Even though Mitsuki has told Kawaki that he wants to protect him, Kawaki obviously does not reciprocate those same feelings, hence why he tells him to just leave him alone. And after hearing that Boruto tells him that he is actually his son and not Kawaki, Mitsuki refuses to believe it. He wraps the snake around Boruto, trying to kill him, but realizes that his snake doesn't attack him, since the will that he is actually following is Boruto and not Kawaki. And after realizing this, he cannot believe it. And this is where he actually unarms Boruto with his snake and tries to find reason with them, where he actually tells Boruto who the hell is he. Where Boruto reassures him that he has no intention of killing Kawaki, but he just needs to settle things with him since they are brothers. Mitsuki then questions why did Boruto kill Lord 7th, and this is where Boruto tells Mitsuki that Naruto is in fact still alive and is in a safe place. Let's not forget Shikamaru and Ino are overhearing this conversation using mind transmission jutsu, which catches somebody like Ino off guard, and at least when you look at Shikamaru, he does not seem surprised at all. Boruto then tells Mitsuki that he is fully capable of shining on his own, meaning that Mitsuki has his own will and that he can do whatever he wants of his own will, and that he doesn't need somebody like Boruto or even Kawaki to follow his will through. But if he ever needs a son, Boruto is right there, which shows you that Boruto obviously still cares about his best friend, hence why he doesn't kill him, and gives him a reasoning on why he is the son of Mitsuki. Anyways, moving on to the end of the chapter, Boruto and Shikamaru have a conversation about the effects of omnipotence, as even though somebody like Shikamaru is affected and is informed about the effects of the jutsu, Boruto tells Shikamaru not to bother about trying to figure out how omnipotence actually works. Even though he was told on how the jutsu actually was operated, the very concept of omnipotence will not stick inside of Shikamaru's memory. Since he was affected, this thought process of the jutsu itself will fade away over time, since that is part of its power. And even though Shikamaru has evidence and understands that Boruto and Kawaki have swapped places, the proof of this will eventually fade out because he was affected by omnipotence. And since Boruto knows this, he tells Shikamaru to trust Boruto that he and Kawaki have switched places without any proof, since the proof will eventually erase from the memory of Shikamaru. And after understanding why Kawaki did what he did when it comes to invoking the omnipotence jutsu through Eido's will, Shikamaru says that he will not expose Kawaki just yet for doing what he did, since it seems like the omnipotence jutsu has also taken a very big impact on Kawaki as well. This is a very smart move from the Hokage, as even though he understands what Kawaki did, I think it's best for the Leaf Village and Shikamaru to just wait it out a little bit to see what's going on. Even though that is going to be the case, that means Boruto will have to stay a fugitive for a much longer time, which is where Boruto is prepared to do so. The one thing I gotta say with Boruto is that he has won over his best friend and the whole Hokage as well, the highest person of power in Konoha, even though he was made a traitor of the village for something that he did not do. That's incredibly impressive for a character like that, for him to already overcome a little bit of the omnipotence. Anyways, in the last 2 pages of this chapter, we see Jura reading about the information of the worlds, and even though he is learning more, he is asking more questions that will arise, which only exposes the ignorance that he does have. Eventually, he just gives up, realizing that none of the information that he wants are in the books that he's reading, and instead to go visit Naruto himself. Let's not forget, Naruto is inside of that Dakukon dimension that Kawaki did store him in, so most likely Jura will have to go to the Leaf Village in order to confront Kawaki himself, where we will probably get the battle between Jura versus Kawaki, which will probably happen in the next few chapters. Let me know how you guys feel about Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 7. Overall, I thought this was a pretty good chapter, the battle between Boruto versus Mitsuki, and giving Shikamaru leeway on how the omnipotence jutsu was actually actually activated. This is very important dialogue that needs to be set up, especially when it comes to exposing the lies that Kawaki put on the entire Leaf Village. And with that being said, I think a character like Jura will actually expose Kawaki in the end, because it does seem like Shikamaru doesn't want to do that right away, even though he does know the truth. I think that's a very important plot point that will be used in the next couple of chapters of Two Blue Vortex. So overall, a pretty good chapter, and I'm very excited for chapter 8. This does set up for a lot, especially for somebody like Kawaki who, not gonna lie, he's gonna be exposed in 4K very soon. So let me know how you guys feel about this chapter in the comment section below. So if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell as well, and have a good day. Peace.